In today's video, you will learn 17 words with their Chinese characters. After watching today's video, you will be able to recognize these characters, you know how to use them, and you can translate them from English into Chinese with these Chinese characters. You will be able to type them into computer, if you've learned lessons 1 to 9, of course. Hi, this is Chi from Deepling, a channel that makes Chinese easy. If you're new here, this is a place where you can learn Chinese as easily as possible and for free. Because I've made it my mission to make Chinese as easy as possible and as available as possible to everyone who wants to learn Chinese. So if you're one of them, if you want to learn Chinese, especially as a beginner, please subscribe and follow me so that you can learn the courses that I publish every week.
This is another lesson that requires previous lessons. I've explained the 2 steps of learning Chinese in my first video, 3 Ultimate Rules. You can watch it later if necessary. And I've explained the harvesting theory to compare gathering knowledge with sowing and becoming good at it with reaping. If you're not familiar with this comparison, I suggest that you watch Lesson 7 to have a better understanding.
If this is the first video you're watching for my channel, I need to tell you this is not a video to start with. Instead, I suggest that you watch Lesson 1 first, because that video is truly a lesson to start with. It is designed for Chinese beginners and it uses a special method. I promise you, you've never seen this method anywhere before. With all these now being clarified, let's dive in.
As usual, you will learn the vocabulary from Lesson 3 and 4 again. But instead of pinyin, you will learn the Chinese characters this time. Since there are altogether 35 words you learned there, I broke them down into 2 parts. Today, you will learn the first 17 words together with their characters. Now this time, let's start with a quiz to check if you're really ready for the lesson today. And you don't even need to type. I want you to just speak out loud after me. When you see the English word, you should know what it is in Chinese pinyin. For example, you will hear me say time. Then you will say 时间. And you should be so fast that you are able to say it before you hear me say the next English word.
If you can't tell the answers with the speed played in the video, it's a sign that you need to go back to lessons 3 to 9 to review the courses. And please do me a favor. Document for yourself if you got the answers right. Marking for each correct answer a check would be enough. Now, let's finally get started with the quiz.
This. 这 Here 这里 Dog 狗 Animal 动物 Doctor 医生 Teacher 老师 老师 love love I and 和 I 我 you 你 life 生活 time 时间 money 金钱 knowledge 知识 strength 力量 experience 体验 wealth 财富
Among these 17 words, how many of them did you get correctly? If your answer is 100%, congratulations, that's fantastic. Because honestly, I do think you should go for 100% correctness as a goal. That's because this content is truly the basis for today's lesson. So if you just made one mistake or two, that's still fine. But if you made more than 2 mistakes, I sincerely suggest that you go back to lessons 3 to 9 to review the content for a better result. I'm not making things harder than it has to be. Quite on the contrary, I do believe I'm making things easier for you when you learn Chinese. That's because I believe in learning by diving deep. I think if you want to learn Chinese, go for a good amount of sentences with a good amount of words with their characters can get you very, very far.
And if you hardly made any mistakes, let's get started with the characters now.
For today's lesson, I picked one word to dive deeper into. But I will stay with this one word and I will not dive into every other character we're learning today to focus more on the construction of all characters instead of learning Chinese for real. Because that's more of a linguistic nerd stuff that a Chinese beginner really does not need to know. But learning some fun facts like this can help you understand better how generally a Chinese character is built.
This word is 金钱. The character 金 means gold, and 钱 means money. And 金钱 means money in an abstract term. The money mentioned here is not about concrete money. A more pragmatic approach would be, whenever you're not sure, use 钱 instead of 金钱. 钱 is far more often used than 金钱.
I picked the word 金钱 for today's lesson because 金钱 is quite typical for a specific method how a Chinese character can be built. Because I'm a little tired of people telling me, I heard Chinese characters are all like little pictures and you need to learn to draw. Well, it's a lot more complicated than that, and there are 6 methods of how a Chinese character can be built. But more importantly, I don't want to give a lecture about all the 6 possibilities because that requires a big amount of collection of characters to understand this content. So I decided I'm going to use one example with the content from the lesson today to help you first gain an impression how a new method, one of the 6 methods, how a Chinese character can be built, and more importantly, how to use this method to recognize characters that you have never seen before to guess what they can mean.
金 means gold, and for a long time, gold was money as well. But 金 also meant metal in Old Chinese, and this comes together to build the word 钱. 钱 consists of 2 parts, the left and right parts. The left part of 钱 originates from 金 because money used to be gold and metal. And it's not just that. Whenever you see the left part, you can guess this is something that consists of or has something to do with metal, such as 针 needle, 钉 nail, 钓钩 fishing hook. This way of building characters is called compound ideographs, one of the 6 ways how a Chinese character can be built.
In fact, it's quite tempting to start analyzing the characters because it's so much more fun to find little pictures in most characters and draw little pictures. And indeed, it's really a great method to motivate students to learn Chinese more. However, I do believe this should be just a part that motivates people more, that helps building more connection to Chinese. However, this should not be the fundamental method with which you learn Chinese.
Remember the character 口 from last lesson? There, I talked about how the character 妈 was built. There, I showed you the picture of a mouth. This is the first method how a Chinese character is built, pictogram. This is also what many Chinese teachers use to demonstrate how Chinese characters are easier to learn than you think. But this is dangerous because students tend to think they could always find a picture to explain what a character means. Pictograms are only one of the 6 methods how the Chinese characters are built. These 6 methods are called 六书, 6 write. 书 means book in modern Chinese, but in Old Chinese, it means also to write. The 六书 system was summarized almost 2,000 years ago. And if you want to learn the rest 5, building characters truly becomes a science itself. That is also why I'm not diving any deeper anymore. I just want you to understand, Chinese characters are not just about little pictures. And today, I showed you another method next to pictogram, compound ideograph. This can give you far more context. Knowing the fact that this part had something to do with metal is quite pragmatic whenever you see new characters and you want to guess what it can mean.
Now, let's finally get started with these characters. This is the first time, so this time it's about recognizing and remembering. Listen to the pronunciation and at the same time, instead of focusing on the phonetic spelling, the pinyin, this time try to focus on how each character looks like.
I will read each word 3 times. For the first time, you will see no pinyin, so you will need to focus on remembering these characters. For the second time, you will see pinyin for a deeper impression how exactly they're pronounced. And for the third time again, without pinyin, to see if you can remember their pronunciation.
I heard from other students that they already typed down the characters for the first time when they listened to the pronunciation. And I didn't think this would work, but apparently it worked for them. So you should try it too. And if it works out for you as well, please comment below and let me know so that I can adjust and optimize the course structure for everyone else.
这里狗动物医生老师爱我和你生活时间金钱知识力量体验财富Now, it's getting a bit more challenging. This time, you will not hear anything. Test yourself. Can you pronounce them all? You will see the characters, but you will not hear the pronunciation. After lessons 1 to 9, I think you've managed to install the pinyin input. So this time, you will check directly if the characters are right. Type these characters directly into Chinese and then compare the characters you typed with the characters shown here.
Now, be prepared. If you set a goal that you want to achieve 100% correctness already for the first try, you probably will fail. And what's more important, that is really an unnecessary goal. Because your only goal is to really remember these characters, also for the long time. And what works for the memory is that you repeat things over and over again, especially when you make mistakes. That's why I sincerely suggest that you take your time, set realistic goals, find your pace, and set these goals with your own capacity. If you have less time today or you are tired today, set a lower goal, 0%. Just watch the video and do nothing. If you are more motivated and energetic today, set a higher goal. The only goal that you should avoid is to achieve 100% correctness already for the first time. It is not necessary to always try to be the best performer ever all the time. Trust me, I can tell from my own experience. What worked for me in the end, the best way, is to find the final long-term goal, which is be happy with what I learn and be happy with how I learn it. Now it's time for the final move. This time, you will see the Chinese characters first and you will translate them into English. And this time, you will translate them by saying the English word out loud instantly after you've seen the Chinese characters. And you will see the answers right after you've said them. See if you can beat the video speed. If you can, you've truly mastered these characters. And are you happy with what you've just learned and how you learned it? I hope this video helped you gain easier access to the Chinese language. And if you liked it, please subscribe and follow the lessons that I publish every week, because together we can make Chinese easy.